Stronger, healthier, fitter. 5 simple steps. So if you're working out or driving, consider just taking it in and listening. I'm going to share with you the best, most direct things to assist you to be stronger, healthier, and fitter. And if you do have access to a pen and paper, you want to take some notes, you may want to grab that pen and paper so you can remember some stuff and internalize it, memorize a few things. It's going to assist you to be stronger, healthier, fitter. And it's going to be in just 5 simple steps. Excuse me. So if you could, first things first is consider having clear, specific goals. So let's do a little exercise together. If you could wave a realistic magic wand and you can have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted it to be between now and say a year from now, what would that be like for you? Think about that. If you could have it any kind of way you wanted it to be, what would that look like for you? So one thing I can consider when setting clear, specific goals is to set clear and specific goals when it comes to your health and fitness. So for example, with fitness, a really good one is body weight and body fat percentage, right? So whether you do pounds or kilos or stones, however you measure your weight, get a current weight where you're currently at, and then consider going by a body fat percentage. That's a really good way to measure things, body fat percentage. But there's a few different ways to measure it. Not everybody knows it. So one thing is, if you have a doctor, a lot of doctors these days in their offices, they have these machines. Like in my office, it's called a DEXA scan, and it measures everything. They give you a 3-page report. I mean, it's really nice. Now, if you don't have access to that, one way to, like a hack I've used, and it really helps me to even visualize it even better. Sometimes you can visualize what body fats look like, is go online, do a Google search for men's and women's body fat percentages, right? Look it up. And a lot of times you'll find them on a scale from very lean to very overweight. And then you can look at it and you can find out where you're at. Say, for example, if you're a male and you say, well, looks like based on these pictures, I'm maybe 20% body fat. But based on these pictures, I'd like to be between 10 and 12% body fat. So then that's a good way to gauge your goals, right? So have clear, specific goals. Consider going with a body weight and a body fat percentage. Now, it's important to have that because I'm going to come back around at the end of the lesson and tie it together with your fitness goals. So I encourage you to have a clear, specific body weight range, or specific, or just like range. It can be like, 2 or 3 pound range. Like, for example, I'll just use myself as an example. I'm building muscle, so I want to gain weight. So I'm looking to be at least 190 pounds, right? So I'm saying if I'm 192, that's within my range, right? But also I have a body fat goal to be at or below 10% body fat. So it's to at least be 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. It's very simple. It's very clear and specific, right? So that's why I want you to consider having your very clear and specific goals. If you get nothing out of this lesson today, if you walk away and you set a clear, specific goal, I believe you have one in your fitness journey, you have made progress towards that journey. Now, once you have the clear and specific goal, the 5 simple steps are to have a good exercise program, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset. Those are the 5 simple steps, right? Let's take a look at exercise. When it comes to your exercise program, I encourage you to have a blend of strength training and cardiovascular training. they both have different pros and cons, right? Or mainly pros. They have different advantages, right? So say for example, we have a twin engine airplane and we're flying along. One engine is cardiovascular, one engine is strength training. Now you're flying along and we want both engines going on the airplane. Now, if you only have one engine on the airplane, how efficient is that going to be? Not very efficient, right? So consider having combination of strength training and cardiovascular training in your program. Whether you do it 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, however you do it, blend it in together, right? Combination strength training and cardiovascular training. Now, let's look at how to build a proper exercise program, particularly strength training program. When building a strength training program, 5 things I want you to consider: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Let's look at proper form for a moment. What will be the benefit of doing proper form when doing strength training? Can you think of it? Well, one big thing, so you don't get hurt. That's huge. You do not want to get an injury while trying to be on a fitness journey. It's just going to set you back and be very frustrating. And number 2 is so that we're exercising the muscles in the most effective way. You're getting the most use out of your time. I know you have a lot going on in your life, probably. So you when you're in the gym, you want to make the good use of your time, and doing proper form is a good use of your time in the gym. If you go into the gym and you're rushing around and you hurriedly do your exercises and your form is off, you're just really setting yourself back. It's like driving with your foot on the brakes, right? So proper form so that you don't get hurt and that you exercise the muscles effectively. Number 2, let's look at variety. Why would it be important to have variety every now and then in your program? Why switch it up occasionally? Why not just do the same workout for a year? Why change it up? Well, let's think about it. 2 big reasons I think about it for you is 1, our bodies can reach what's called a plateau. Have you heard of that before? That's where you're making progress on your fitness journey, and then for weeks, maybe months, you're stuck at a certain level and you're not progressing through. That's a plateau. It's a good example of that. To avoid plateaus, adding variety. How do you add variety? Mixing up the exercises, doing different exercises. Mixing up the rep ranges, doing low reps, high reps, like 5 to 8, 20 to 30. Changing the speed of the movement, tempo, what we call tempo, maybe 3 seconds down, 2 seconds up, or 5 seconds down, explosive up. There's a lot of ways to add variety. So you can make sure you're adding variety to your routine. My favorite way of doing it after working out for 40 plus years is about every 4 weeks, I generate a new program. And matter of fact, we're going to have an app downloadable for free. It's going to have a lot of 4-week programs on it. If you're interested, be on the lookout for that. Release is coming soon. So we looked at proper form, variety, intensity. What comes to mind when you think about exercising with intensity? Challenging yourself, pushing it, right? So say, for example, if we're doing push downs and we're going for, 15, 10, 11, 12, 14, 15, barely get 15, but we got it. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? And why? Why do you think that? Right, it's where the overload is. That's where the challenge is, right? If the muscles could speak, they'd say, I better grow back more muscle to deal with that stress that's being placed on me. That's the intensity. When you hit that intensity, their response is to grow back stronger. It's through the rest, the sleep, and your nutrition that it overcompensates and adapts and you improve. So that's perform, variety, intensity. We talked about intensity. Proper training principles. The fourth element of training, proper training principles. There are many different training principles, and they're so fun to incorporate. I encourage you to just go on Google and look up weight training principles, weight training shocking principles. Some of my favorites are like a compound set where you do two exercises for the same muscle, like a chest press to a chest fly, or maybe a pull down to a seated row or a barbell row. Or you can do a superset, which is not my favorite, but yeah, that's opposing muscle groups back to back. Chest to back, bis to tris, quads to hams. Or you can do a rest pause method. This is something that's often I love encouraging people to do when they're training by themselves. It's called a rest pause method. Say you're doing some arm curls. Say you're going for 12 reps. So you get to go to 8, 9. Oh, 9, can't do any more. You put it down for like 2 or 3 breaths, and then you grab the bar back and bang out 3 more. That's called the rest pause method. It's a really great method to use, especially when training alone, right? So we looking at the proper training principles about proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. These are all the 5 things that make up a good exercise training program. Proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Now, let's look at the power of consistency and in fitness. Now, imagine for a moment you have you and say you have a twin of you. Now, you have your fitness goals and you go off on your journey. You start working out 4 days a week. You know, you're doing your cardio and your strength training. You're eating 80, 90% perfect. You're getting your rest. The twin starts off that way, but then misses a workout here and there, skips a good meal here and there, and has more processed foods a little bit more here and there. Doesn't always get the good sleep every night. At the end of the year, who is going to have the best results? Exactly. It's going to be the consistent version of yourself, right? The consistent version of yourself, someone that's consistent on their exercise program. They're consistently like 80, 90% good on their nutrition program, consistently 80, 90% on their sleep program, supplementing intelligently, and having a good fitness mindset. And that's what's going to help you to be successful. Consistency in all those areas. If you have any questions on training, please let me know. Now, let's address nutrition. Now, imagine for a moment that we want to build a 2-story house from scratch. Now, imagine if we only have half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are we going to get? About halfway, right? A part of the way. So the foods that you and I eat on a daily basis are like the supplies that goes towards to build our bodies, just like supplies necessary to build the house. So I encourage you to consider a whole food, plant-based diet, about 50% based of fruit and vegetables, 25% whole grains, and 25% plant-based proteins like legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds, and protein shakes. And if you want further deep dive into more of my thoughts on nutrition, consider watching the documentary The Game Changers. It's on Netflix and YouTube. the game changers. Now, let's look at 4 ways in which eating affects our bodies. Affects our insulin levels, our energy levels, our blood sugar levels, and our metabolism. Right? All 4 of those things get affected by what we eat. Now, let's take a brief look at how a one meal can affect our body and how it feels, for example. Say, for example, we have a fireplace. And we're trying to get a fire going in the fireplace. On one hand, we have a stack of oak wood. And on the other hand, we have a stack of paper. Now, not including, getting the fire started, but if you had to choose between the oak wood or the paper to burn in your fireplace, which one would you pick and why? Think about it. Well, most of us would choose the oak wood. And why would we choose the oak wood over the paper for burning all day long? Right, because the oak wood is thicker. It's going to burn slower, more efficiently, right? So that's exactly. So foods like fruits and vegetables and whole grains and legumes, lentils, nuts, and seeds and protein smoothies and stuff like that, they burn slow and consistent. And you're going to have an increase in energy levels. You're going to have a decrease in body fat. You're going to have an increase in muscle just by following that little routine right there. If you have any questions or thoughts on that, please let me know. Feel free to comment or say hello. So now we talked about training, nutrition. Let's look at recovery. Recovery is the one thing that I feel almost everyone can do. If you want to increase your health, it's the number one thing you can do is optimize your sleep, right? So a lot of the studies that I've read lots, and they have one thing in common. They recommend about 7.5 to 9 hours sleep per night with about 2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep. Now, I don't wear a sleep measurable right now, but I'm in the market. I'm kind of looking and exploring. But consider having a good, whether you wear a measurable or not, consider having a good quality night's sleep. There's lots of tips on how to do that. You can dig and we can go into it. I can do a whole video topic on it, but just generally not eating too soon before bed. Like for most people, at least 2 hours before bed, cutting off eating. What that does is helps your body's temperature to lower, and the lower our body temperature is before we go to sleep, it helps our body to sleep better, right? So that's one thing there. Cutting off like computers and most blue lights about 1 hour before the time you want to go to sleep. So consider making the practice of that, and just having a good 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep, going for that 2 hours of REM and 2 hours of deep. I'd love to get your feedback on that and see how that works for you. But that's my recommendations based on my research, and see how you feel about it. So we talked about training, nutrition, recovery. Let's look at supplementation. I feel there are basically 2 basic, so these are the 5 simple steps, right? Exercise program, nutrition, we're getting our sleep, supplementation, mindset. So we're looking at supplementation. I feel there are basically 2 basic categories of supplementation: nutritional supplementation and enhancement performance supplementation. 2 basic categories. So with nutritional supplementation, an example of that is like a delicious plant-based protein shake. A couple of my favorites are like a Planta. The brand is by Planta, and they have different flavors. Like you can make a chocolate peanut butter flavor with almond milk and ice. It tastes just like a chocolate ice cream smoothie almost to me. It's so refreshing. Or you can blend like frozen strawberries and blueberries in with a vanilla organic or gain protein powder and some either a green, like a green juice mix, or almond milk or water, and it tastes delicious. Throw in some healthy oils like an olive oil or something healthy like that, and it's just delicious. It powers you up. It gives you energy. It fuels you, right? But that's a nutritional supplement. Just helps get in the nutrition, right? And then there's enhancement performance supplement. Enhancement performance supplement is like creatine monohydrate, which I'm finding that almost everyone should consider being on if you're over 40, or even if you're working to build muscle. Creatine, there's different brands of creatine, different formulations, but do your own research. But creatine is a wonderful supplement. It can help with your muscle growth, right? So we looked at that. Now, mindset. So we talked about the 5 simple steps. Before the 5 simple steps, have a clear, specific goal. Then the 5 simple steps: exercise, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset, right? Now let's look at mindset. In the beginning of the exercise, in the beginning of the lesson today, we went over goals. We set a specific fitness goal, right? So if you haven't done that yet, if you could wave a realistic magic wand and you could have your body, your health, your energy, any kind of way you wanted, what would that be like for you? Think about it. If possible, put it down with a clear, specific body weight and specific body fat percent, right? And once you have that down, I want you to phrase your goal, with your affirmation / prayer. Here it goes. I am happy and grateful now that I am. Say your goal right there. I'll use myself as an example. You fill in the blank with your goal. I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. So does that make sense? So you have a very clear, specific goal, and we set up the affirmation. I am happy and grateful now that I am, and your goal weight and your goal body fat percent. What does this do? This trains your mind to think in terms of how grateful you are that you are what you say you want to be. By putting yourself in a state of gratefulness, you're kind of tricking your mind that you're already there. You already have achieved your goal, and that you're happy and grateful that you've achieved your goal. Now, while you're doing this every day, training your mindset daily say this, internalize that statement, internalize it daily, and then back it up with your exercise program, whether it's 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever you can do. Back it up with your nutrition program, back it up with getting your sleep. And then you can choose if you want to supplement or not, and then daily work on your mindset. Those are your actions. We must take action. We just can't talk about it. We must take action. So set a goal. We've already done that. Say it every day. I'm happy and grateful now that I am. You fill in the blank, and then follow it up with proper exercise, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, mindset. Now, with all that I've said, sometimes it's easier. It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do, and I understand that. So I am a local in-person personal trainer, but I also do virtual fitness programs. I can help you losing weight is my specialty, hence weight loss solutions that work is the theme. If you're looking to lose weight or go to the next level, and you're interested in a consultation to see how we might be able to collaborate together, send me I have my connection is somewhere on this page. Send me a text to 520-400-9573. Let's get together on a consultation, go over your needs, your goals, and see what we can do. Because sometimes I have seen that people, we all need, if we're struggling in an area, if fitness is your struggle area, then if fitness is your area, then sometimes we need accountability. And accountability, but not to a friend or a loved one, accountability to a coach, a professional, someone that's professional at what they do, but they're not going to, it's not going to get too personal, right? With like a loved one, they don't want to nag at you about something, right? But a coach, you give in to a coach because they're there to help you, and that's what we do as coaches. But anyway, consider this last thing, that our health is our wealth. No matter whatever earthly possessions we have, our health is our wealth. So take care of your health. Remember that discipline weighs ounces and regret weighs tons. Look at yourself 10 years from now, 20 years from now, into the future, and look back. What does that self want you to do in regards to your fitness and health? To exercise and take care of yourself and eat healthy, or to neglect all that? If you neglect all that, that's going to be regret. And the regret is going to weigh so heavy on you, because it's going to come with the price of heart disease and potential strokes and sexual dysfunction and just all kind of awful things. But there's so many upsides. The disciplines of the health and fitness lifestyle is going to weigh ounces, because you're going to have so much energy. You're going to feel so good, and you're going to have so much vibrance in your life. So I wish that for you. Be blessed. And remember that my goal is to come at you every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here. And be blessed and have a great weekend. And bye for now.